What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 276 of the A2D From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. Again, this is episode number 276, and it's entitled No Reason to Get Clean. And this is another Wacky Wednesday episode as we're going through the curriculum of From Ashes to Destiny. And we're in phase 4, which deals with learning to walk in freedom. And we're in chapter 17 of phase 4. And I'm going to read the story of Trotter Tim. Again, the title of this episode is No Reason to Get Clean, and if I add to it, I'll say, or stay clean. Here's the story. Almost every day I pray for Trotter Tim, who is still caught in the snare of addiction in Kensington. I got to know Tim one morning as we drank coffee in Dunkin' Donuts. I used to work at the racetrack with horses, Tim introduced himself. Unfortunately, I got hurt, and my boss turned me on to prescription pain pills. After I got hooked, Tim continued, my boss steered me to his supplier for heroin. Tim took a deep breath. An emotional pain flooded his face as he continued. 2 years ago, there was an investigation into the use of drugs at the track. When they found our stash, my boss said it was mine, and I took the fall. I've been banned from the track for life, and horses are my life, said Tim as he wiped a tear on the sleeve of his tattered hoodie. I don't have any reason to get clean, Tim continued. I'm too old to learn to do anything else for work. What about family? I asked. My mom lives in the Northeast, he replied. Do you know where she's living, and does she know where you are? I asked. I haven't spoken to her for over a year, Tim said as his head drooped toward the table. Would you mind if I called her to let her know you're alive? I asked. I won't let her know where you are, I assured him. Tim buried his face in his hands, exhaled a long, deep sigh, and said in a quivering voice, That would be good. Tell her I love her. Shaw. A story of a man who started again with an on-the-job injury and prescription pain pills and led to heroin and addiction, and then him ending up taking the fall. So let's get some discussion questions from this story. First one is, Tim worked at the racetrack as a trotter, meaning he'd warm up the horses. He got hurt on the job. His boss set him up with prescription pain pills. What do you know about your prescriptions? Do you know the side effects, the addictive aspects, the tolerance, the half-life? All things that, maybe Tim needed to know before he got hooked on his prescription pills and led to heroin. Second question. Tim's boss turned him on to heroin and had him take the fall when the inspectors found the stash. So I want to ask you, who is your friend who helped you ease the pain? Who is setting you up to take the fall for them? And how are they doing that? So really want you to dig in there and say, these people who are supplying me, are they setting me up? Or are they just using me? Or are they really friends? Or would they expect me to take the fall for them? Next question. Tim was banned from the track for life, and horses were his life. He said he had no reason to get clean. He couldn't get his life back. I want to ask you, have you lost your life, so to speak, the way Tim lost his with the horses? Have you lost your reason to get clean? Tim was banned for life and said he was too old to learn to do anything else for work. So he said, I have no reason to get clean. His only family was his mom, and she was in the Northeast. and he couldn't see himself starting a new career. How about you? What reason do you have to get clean or to stay clean? Is it for yourself? Is it for your family? Is it for a career? What could be your reason to get and stay clean? And the next question, Tim gave me permission to call his mom as long as I didn't tell her where he was. I want you to think about, who do you want to tell you love them, as Tim wanted to tell his mom he loved her? Why didn't Tim trust his mom to know? And why wouldn't you trust some of your loved ones to know exactly where you are? Are you afraid they would come get you out? Or are you afraid they would send the police? Are you afraid they would come kidnap you, so to speak? Do you feel it would hurt your loved ones too much if they knew where you were? And can you talk about that hurt? What would their hurt look like? What would their pain be if they knew where you stayed? Do you think they would betray you if they knew where you stayed? And how would that betrayal play out? So as you think about Tim's story and no reason to change, I want you to be able to also talk about, if you've found your reason to change, what changed in you that gave you the reason to change, or the strength to hold on to that reason to change? And if you're walking in recovery now, what changed in your walk? How are you staying clean? How are you holding on to that reason? Thanks for listening to this episode of the A2D, From Addict to Disciple podcast. If you were saying that's me, then I just want to urge you to answer these questions, to talk to someone, to join a group. And if you'd like to contact me, you can message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com, or go to my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. If you're listening on Spotify, you can leave your comments by clicking on the link they provide on that platform. Keep listening to future podcast episodes, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.